Well, hello, all of my crafty friends. I am here with you guys today for another video for Kraftgali. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out these Kraftgali slimline stitched and scalloped dies, and I'm going to use those again today. This is kind of what those dies cut out to look like. They are super awesome, super amazing. And so I decided that I wanted to do a variation of the card that I created last week. Now, if you missed the card from last week, I will link it in the cards above so that you guys can go back and see that one as well. When I originally started working on these, I did not have the You Matter stamp set in hand yet, but I had the opportunity to work with one of the digitals. So this is what those dies look like. You get double really because you're able to use the frames as well as the inside pieces. You can stack them up. You can use just the stacked pieces. You can use just the frames. There are so many different variations that you would be able to use with this set of dies. It is truly amazing. And let me tell you, on this Hollow Waves cardstock from Tonic Studios, it is absolutely amazing. I feel like you could just add a sentiment and be done. That's how beautiful these are. So what I did was I used the digital stamp and I resized them and decided that I was going to do kind of a stacked effect as well as creating some additional elements with just some parts of the image. I did not leave the coloring in, but I went ahead and used my Copic markers to color in one of the U's and the florals that went along with those. Once I got done with doing that portion of it, the next thing that I'm going to do with this image is I am going to bring in some pieces that I cut out just using the background so that I could provide a stacked effect on this card that I'm doing today. So I have about 4 of each of these, and I'm going to use my art glitter glue that is from maymaymadeit.com, and I'm just going to simply start gluing and stacking each of these U's together, and then I will use the U that I colored and I will place that on the very top of this image, and that will provide a very thick and chipboard-like effect to this stamped image. And I think that it will work out perfect on the background of those stitched and scalloped slimline dies that we will use today. So I'm going to go ahead and stack all of those up, and this is what it comes out looking like once we are done. And then what I have done is I just used the O and the U and I flipped one of them to be the reverse. And I also stacked those up with a few additional pieces so that it could give that effect that I was looking for. So this is kind of what I'm thinking I want the front of my card to look like. And the next thing that I will do is I will actually glue each of the pieces that have the stamped image on top of the chipboard pieces that I have created. So again, I like to use liquid glue just because liquid glue provides me with a little bit of time to manipulate and make sure that I have everything lined up, because I'm definitely not a person who's able to line something up on the first try. So that liquid glue just gives me a few seconds to get everything lined up just the way that I want it. And this is so beautiful. I absolutely love this set. I love the digital image, but I've since received the actual stamped image and they are as beautiful as I thought it would be. So now I'm going to take those others and I will glue them on, and then I'm just going to trim the Y off of each of these, and this is going to allow me to create that effect that I am going for with this card. I wanted to show you guys a variety of ways that you could possibly use this, and this is a second way, and I'm pretty sure that I will be using this card and this stamp and these images a lot more. So now I've kind of got this stacked up the way that I want. I'm going to bring in some cardstock so that I can make my slimline, and I'm going to add in some of the die pieces that we created earlier And I'm going to use a variety of colors, or not a variety, but I'm going to alternate the colors between this Hollow Waves and this red Shimmer. I thought that these complemented each other very, very well. And so I am going to use those, and I still have enough left over to complete another card if I wish, in addition to having the frames to use. So I'm just kind of deciding whether I want to do more of the Hollow Waves or more of the red. And then I am going to bring in one of those frames to kind of frame up the image for me. Once I get everything placed the way that I want it to be, I will move on to getting all of these pieces glued down again, using my liquid glue, because I want to make sure that I can get this as straight as possible. I'm always one of those people who loves to do a dry fit on my cards just to make sure everything's going to be placed the way that I want. And this is kind of what I'm looking for. And then I also printed out one of the sentiments. I did enlarge them for this particular card, and I am going to use that at the bottom. So now I have everything the way that I wanted. I'm going to start gluing all of the elements down and getting this card front ready to go. Now I'm trying to make sure that I line everything up the way that it's supposed to be. With the frames, you need to be careful, because when you're cutting them out, if you're not careful, you can have them a little cattywampus. That's the word that I like to use. And it can come out not quite straight. It can make your rectangle a little off if you are not careful with how you are placing it. So once I get all of those pieces on and glued the way that I want it to, I'm very happy with the placement, with the colors, and with what we have coming out so far. The next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to start placing my other images, the O and the U on the left and the right, and that center U on the front, and I'm going to place it and just make sure that I'm still working where I want everything to be. I am very much so repetitious in doing my dry fitting, because I know once I get everything glued down, it's gonna be pretty much there. So now I'm going ahead, now that I have everything exactly how I want it, I'm going to go ahead and start gluing down those elements onto the card. And this is a pretty substantial card. It probably would take a padded envelope or a couple of stamps to send it off. This may be something that I would probably hand deliver, just because I did stack those letters up about 4 times using a 100 weight cardstock. So or 100 pound weight cardstock. So that makes it pretty thick, and I absolutely love a thick card, and something that I feel like could be a display piece for someone when I'm giving it to them. So the next thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and add that sentiment strip at the bottom. And this is what we have. And you guys can see the level of dimension that we have for the front of this card. And I'm absolutely in love with it. Now that we have that part done, we can go ahead and start working on putting the shimmer. Now, if any of you guys have been here before, if you're a part of my community, you know that I love my shimmer. If you haven't been here before, welcome. Thank you guys for coming. I hope that you guys will stick around, like, subscribe, leave me a comment. I absolutely love chatting with you guys in the comment section, and I hope that you guys will consider becoming a part of my community. So I'm going ahead and finishing up my shimmer to make sure that we have lots and lots and lots of sparkle when you're looking at this image, because to me, that is a staple for any card that you are creating. Now that I have all the sparkle that I want, I'm just looking and moving it around to make sure that I can see it from all the different angles, showing you guys how much dimension this card has, and it's just that wow factor for me. The next thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and start working on the inside panel of our card as well. I am one of the people who absolutely loves to do the inside of my card as well. I think that it just ties everything together. It looks beautiful. And I had my Cricut write a sentiment on the inside for me. I try very hard when I'm making a card to kind of have an occasion, and most times a person in mind as to who I would love for this card to go to. And that makes it a little bit easier for me to pick out what sentiment or what saying I would like to have on the inside of the card. Once we get that all glued down, then we are ready to move on to placing everything on this card base. Now, my card base is a 9x4. That is usually the size that I do my slim lines in, but you can vary that any way that you want. The whole idea is that it can fit into a standard size envelope, and I found that 9x4 fits perfectly inside and does not provide much extra room, but gives me all the real estate that I need to create my actual card. Now, I did leave a slight border around the card to show the white card base. It's about 1/8 of an inch of a border around the entirety of the card. Once I have that done, this is pretty much where we are. The last thing that I decided that I wanted to do with this card was to add in some glossy accents for our card. And I'm going to add in some of these Catherine Pooler Soda Springs sequin mix. I went in and I picked out a bunch of the little flower pieces, and I'm just going to sprinkle them around the card just to add that little bit of embellishment that I love to have on each of my cards. I am definitely an embellishment queen. I absolutely love them, and they are amazing. I feel like they just add a little something extra to every card to say that it's handmade and special just for you. So once we get that done, then we will be ready to add on our glossy accents. And I am telling you guys, I am probably the worst with glossy accents because inevitably, each time I use glossy accents, I have to put my hand in it at least once. Are you a person who has to put your hand in glossy accents or Nouveau drops? Those are my other nemesis that I love, but I, for some reason, forget that it's wet every single time that I do it. So this is pretty much where we are with our card, and then we can do our glossy accents and we will be done with that for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope that you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you guys soon in the next video. Bye-bye.